The forest of radar. 3 was quiet that morning. Too quiet. Gabe Harker had learned to trust that kind of silence. It wasn't peace. It was a forest holding its breath. He wiped the sweat from his brow and leaned on his axe. The smell of pine and ironwood thick in the air. Another day, another pile of logs. That's all he wanted. Routine, quiet, and a place far away from people who needed saving. 3 years had passed since he'd left the colonial forces. 3 years since the orders stopped echoing in his head. The war had taken everything. His team, his purpose, even his laugh. Out here, surrounded by trees and ghosts, at least no one looked at him like a weapon. Then he heard it, a sound out of place. Not the crunch of branches, not the hum of wildlife. It was softer, hesitant, like small feet on cold earth. He froze. Instinct kicked him before thought did. Axe up, eyes scanning the tree line. Who's there? His voice carried like a warning shot. No answer, only the rustle of wind. Then, movement. 2 figures stepped out from behind the ferns, so small he almost thought his mind was playing tricks. They looked like children at first, thin, fragile, their clothes torn to threads. But the skin, faintly luminescent blue, and the silver hair shining under the morning light told him they weren't human. They were alien and terrified. Gabe lowered the axe an inch but didn't relax. What are you doing out here? The taller twin clutched the younger's hand and whispered, Please, help us. Her voice was soft, musical, but shaking. The other girl's eyes darted toward the sky. They're coming, she breathed. Before Gabe could ask who, a low hum vibrated through the forest, the unmistakable sound of engines. His pulse spiked. Dropships. Too close. Too heavy. Not civilian. Gabe swore under his breath. Trouble had found him, wrapped in blue skin and fear. He looked at the trembling girls again, dirty, barefoot, clutching each other like the world was ending. He could turn them away, pretend he didn't see. But the soldier inside him already knew he wouldn't. He sighed, grabbed his axe, and jerked his head toward the cabin. Inside, both of you. Now! The cabin door shut behind them with a heavy wooden thud. Gabe pulled the blackout curtain aside and glanced through the narrow window slit. The sky over the trees shimmered as 2 gunmetal-gray dropships cut through the clouds. No insignia, no call signs. That meant one thing. Someone wanted to stay off the record. He turned back to the girls. They stood in the corner like frightened animals, eyes wide, backs pressed together. He forced his voice to stay steady. Names. Start there. The older one swallowed. I'm Lyra, and this is my sister, Neela. Where are your parents? Lyra hesitated. Gone. Gabe didn't ask how. He already knew what that kind of answer meant. Stay here. Don't speak. Don't move. Don't make a sound. He pointed to the trapdoor hidden beneath an old rug. He kicked it open, revealing a narrow storage cellar lined with metal crates. Get in. Now. Lyra lowered herself first, gently pulling Neela after her. Their eyes looked up at him, pleading, trusting. That felt dangerous somehow. He closed the hatch. The dropships were close now. He could feel the tremor in the walls. Gabe walked to the mantel above the fireplace and pulled down a worn rifle. Not military issue, but modified long ago for someone who didn't like surprises. He checked the power cell. Fully charged. Then came the knock. Not polite. The kind used by people who don't wait for permission. Gabe opened the door partway. 3 armored figures stood outside. Faceless helmets reflecting the trees, plasma rifles resting in their arms. Mercenaries. But their armor, he recognized it. Not corporate. Not military. Collectors. The lead soldier spoke through a filtered voice modulator. We're searching for 2 escaped biological subjects. Small. Blue-skinned. Seen anything? Gabe leaned on the doorframe like he had all day to waste. No, he said flatly. The helmet turned toward the cabin interior. We detected anomalous biosignatures. Step aside. We'll scan. Got a warrant. Gabe asked. The mercenary didn't bother answering. He raised his rifle instead. Wrong move. Before the barrel could rise level, Gabe was already inside his reach. He slammed the door open with brutal force, smashing it into the mercenary's helmet. The soldier staggered. Gabe rammed his rifle but under the chin, knocking him down. The second soldier tried to fire. Gabe twisted the weapon aside and drove his elbow into his throat. The third merc lifted his rifle and fired. But Gabe was already gone, rolling behind the door frame. Outside, engines roared. More dropships were landing. This wasn't a visit. It was a hunt. The forest swallowed the sounds of combat as Gabe dragged the dead mercs behind the cabin. He moved fast, erasing footprints, tossing weapons into a tarp, wiping blood from the porch. He didn't know who the hell these collectors were, but he knew one thing. They would be back, with more. He pulled open the trapdoor. Lyra flinched at the sudden light, shielding her sister. Neela's eyes were red from crying, her small hands gripping Lyra's clothes. Gabe didn't have time to be gentle. They scanned the area. They'll return. You need to start talking. Now. Lyra hesitated, but then she stood, and something changed in her posture. Her fear didn't vanish, but she seemed older than she had a second ago. They are not just hunters, she said quietly. They are collectors. They don't take prisoners. They harvest living beings, anything rare, anything powerful. Harvest. Gabe frowned. For what? Genetic synthesis, Lyra whispered. They experiment on what they capture, combine biology, create new life forms. Weapons, soldiers, slaves, anything they can sell. Gabe's jaw tightened. He'd seen evil in war, but nothing like that. So why do they want you specifically? He asked. Lyra exchanged a look with her sister, an unspoken decision passing between them. Then she lifted her sleeve. Her veins glowed faintly beneath her skin, not red, not blue, but a shifting light, like liquid starlight flowed through her. Neela did the same. Same glow. What are you? Gabe asked, not accusing, just stunned. We're Elendari, Lyra said. Our people can heal. We can grow life. Sense energy. But our blood, it carries something else. Something rare. Something the collectors want to weaponize. How rare? Gabe asked. Lyra met his stare. There are only 3 of us left alive. A chill went through him. He wasn't a man who got emotional anymore, but something about that number made his chest feel heavy. He exhaled slowly. So what's your plan? Lyra blinked. She wasn't expecting the question. You're not turning us in. If someone wants to hurt kids, Gabe said plainly, they have to get through me first. Neela tugged his sleeve gently, voice small but sincere. Why? You don't even know us. Gabe paused, and for the first time in years, he told the truth. Because once, someone saved me too. Before Lyra could respond, the ground rumbled. A huge shadow swept over the trees. Another ship was landing, larger, heavier, military class. Lyra's face paled. That's not a scouting team. Gabe raised his rifle. That's a warship. The warship descended like a silent mountain of metal, blotting out the sky. Its hull bore no emblem, but Gabe didn't need one. Any ship that belonged to someone rich, ruthless, and prepared for war. He could feel Lyra and Neela trembling beside him. We can't stay here, he said, grabbing a backpack and stuffing it with what little gear he had. Ammo, ration bars, field medkit, flays. There's a river 2 miles east. The forest is denser there, harder to scan from above. We move now. They slipped into the shadows of the trees, sprinting between roots and fallen logs. The warship's engines rumbled overhead, sending leaves into spirals. Gabe kept them moving fast. No rest, no hesitation, until the sound of a pulse rifle shot cracked the air beside him. He threw the twins down behind a rock and dropped beside them. Stay low. Voices echoed in the trees, cold, metallic commands. Search patterns. Surround tactics. These weren't just mercenaries anymore. This was a full sweep. Gabe returned fire, 2 short bursts, controlled, precise, taking down 1 scout drone and forcing the hunters to reposition. He turned to Lyra. Any tricks you want to share? She shook her head. Our abilities aren't like weapons. They're connected to life. Emotion. We can't just... A twig snapped behind Gabe. He spun, weapon raised, only to find himself staring down the barrel of a strange weapon held by a woman with indigo skin and silver eyes that looked carved from ice. She didn't wear armor. She wore stealth gear made from matte black scales, light and silent. A jagged scar ran down her cheek. She didn't look frightened. She didn't even look tense. She looked dangerous. "Lower your weapon," she said quietly. "Not happening," Gabe growled back. "We don't have time to argue," she said, eyes flicking toward the warship overhead. "If you want them to live, follow me. If not, stay here and die." Lyra peeked over Gabe's shoulder. "Gabe, she's Elendari, like us." Gabe blinked. This woman, alien, lethal, fearless, was the same race as these terrified children. Her gaze softened for half a second when she saw the twins. "My name is Ceres Kale," she said. "I've been tracking you. The collectors won't stop. You can't run forever." Gabe hesitated. He trusted no one. But Lyra and Neela were already moving toward Ceres. Instinctively. "Where are you taking us?" he asked. "To the last place the collectors will look," she said. "And where's that?" She pointed deeper into the dark forest. Underground. They moved quickly through the forest under Ceres' lead, the twins between her and Gabe like precious cargo neither would allow to fall behind. The deeper they went, the stranger the forest became. The trees were enormous, ancient giants wrapped in silver-veined vines that pulsed faintly, like they were alive. Gabe kept his rifle ready, scanning the shadows. "You gonna tell me where we're going?" he asked. Ceres didn't look back. "Somewhere your enemies don't know exists." He noticed he didn't say our enemies. She carried herself like someone who trusted no one, someone who'd seen too much, survived too long. He knew the type. After nearly an hour of silent movement, they reached a cliffside waterfall. Hidden behind the roaring water was a jagged opening in the rock. Ceres stepped through like she'd done it 1,000 times. Gabe hesitated only long enough to look at the twins. "Stay close," he reminded them, and they nodded, small but brave. The cave swallowed them in cold darkness. As they moved deeper, pale blue light began to glow along the walls, strange crystal veins shimmering like starlight trapped underground. Lyra reached out, fingertips brushing the light. The crystal rippled, alive, as if responding to her. "What is this place?" Gabe asked. Ceres finally answered. "The old world, built by our ancestors long before your species learned to walk upright." Gabe raised an eyebrow. "You brought us to a history museum." Her eyes flicked to him. "No, a sanctuary, one of the last. And if you want to keep those girls alive, you'll shut up and walk faster." He almost smirked despite the danger. She had claws. They followed a winding path that sloped downward until the air warmed and the tunnel opened into a cavern so vast it looked impossible. Lush green trees growing under a glowing ceiling of crystal, a hidden underground world. "Welcome to the Hollow Forest," Ceres said. But as Gabe stepped forward, something made him stop. This place felt wrong. Not dangerous, but heavy, like it carried memories. Grief, lost voices. He didn't believe in spirits. Yet here, even he could feel something ancient watching. Neela tugged his sleeve. "They were here," she whispered. "Who?" Gabe asked. "Our people, before they were hunted, before they were taken." Ceres looked at the twins, and for a moment, the steel in her expression cracked. Pain lived there, a long, silent grief. Whatever this place was, it wasn't just a hiding spot. It was a graveyard of a dying race. And now, it was their only chance.